Guys, it's me again. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time. I've been talking about it for a while. I just hadn't got around to doing it. And the sun is extremely bright today. And this weekend we're supposed to get 6 inches of snow, and it's like 70 degrees today. So it's just been some crazy weather this winter. It's just, I don't understand it. But anyway, that's beside the point. So let's get to work on this transmission. I'll try to do my best to explain to you how it works, what I know about it, and what I use it for mostly. So yeah, here we go. Starting off by saying that this is a T5.120. Most of y'all that watch my channel already know that, but if you're not watching, if you hadn't been watching, then hello for the first time. This is a T5.120, and it has a 16x16 electro command transmission, and the screen for the transmission is up here on the dash. The T6, the screen's over here on the side, but on the T5 it's in the dash. Now the T6 has had this option for quite some time. Actually my 6030, which is a predecessor of the T6, or I think I said that right. Is it a predecessor? It was before the T6. It's a 6030, T6030. But anyway, it had this function, and it's a 2008 tractor. But the T5 only has had this function since this year model tractor, which I believe this is a 2016. Yeah, I know it's a 2016. So the 2015s and before, the T5s, they did not have the option of the auto shift. So auto shift on this tractor, what is it good for? What did I use it for? Alright, it has two different modes, and the first mode, you press one time, click, you're going to come over here and you're going to look, and you see right here auto flashing, and you have a plow. So what that is telling you, this is auto field mode, and that will shift between, see this parentheses flashing right here next to these 4 gears? Those little bubbles represent a gear, and I'm in neutral, so none of them are lit up. But those are the gears that the transmission are going to be able to choose from automatically without me giving any input. Now, in auto field mode, you can choose these parentheses to go around this set of gears, which is 1 through 4, this set of gears, which is 5 through 8, or you can go to high range, and I just move this lever over here to high range, and it does turn off the auto shift when you switch ranges, but you can turn it back on with one click, and you can use auto field mode in high range, but only in 9 through 12. You can't use field mode in 13 through 16. It just will not let you do it, and I don't know why you'd want to be in the field going 20 plus miles an hour anyway. So let's go back to low range, and I'll give you a moving demonstration and cut it off again because I changed ranges. We'll turn it back on. Alright, we're going to take off in 5th gear. Alright, so you can see the bubble pop up. That's the gear I'm in. It's 5th gear. So what I'm going to do is start accelerating. Now, let's say you were in a field baling hay and you're running it at 540 RPM. Your RPMs are going to be consistent. So this is a little different from what you'd be doing, but it's going to be the same principle. So once the RPMs get up high enough, the tractor, it automatically just switched to 6th gear. And I'm sorry I'm driving into the sun in 7th gear. Now I'm starting up a really steep hill here. And I just switched to 8th gear. I'm going to start backing the throttle off. make the tractor think that it's lugging down. There it just downshifted to 7th and 6th and 5th on its own. Now, it doesn't take, if the tractor is working under a PTO load, it doesn't pull it down that low. As a matter of fact, it probably only pulls it down to about 1,500. And actually, you can, if you're running the PTO and using auto field mode at the same time, you can come over here and you can hold this button down for 3 seconds. And then you get this screen right here. You see this blinking screen? Well, it only stays up there for so long, sorry. I'm holding it for 3 seconds. Alright, that 5% right there, 10%, you punch the button and it keeps going up in percentage, 5% increments. What that is doing is telling, and you can turn it off also, it's telling the computer that you want the engine speed to only drop 5% with the PTO on before you downshift gears. That way it keeps your RPMs up for PTO work. So, or you can change it to 10% or 20% or 25%. And so the higher percentage you set it at, the more the RPMs are going to drop before it downshifts. So if you're baling hay, you would probably want it on 5 or 10% so your RPMs will stay fairly consistent. Now, I'm going downhill and it's upshifting because the throttle's up. But if I set my foot on the brake, it will automatically downshift to try to hold me back. Now I'm going to take my foot off the brake and it's going to upshift. Now, if you don't want this thing to go all the way to 8th gear, say 8th gear is too fast for what you're doing, you can wait until it gets into 8th gear. And I'm sorry about the sun, guys, but you can reach over here to one of the buttons and you can, one of the shift buttons, and you can downshift. And now, if you look at the parentheses, you can see that it dropped this bubble at the top out of the parentheses. So that means the auto shift will only go to 7th gear now. So, and you can drop it on down again, but I think you have to be moving. No? I'm sitting still and it still dropped it on down. So now the top gear would be 6th gear. So, and then if you want to go back up, you hit the upshift and it'll take the parentheses with it. Now you can also move the parentheses up from the bottom. Say if 5th gear is too slow for what you're doing and you don't care about your engine RPMs and you want it to stay in 6th gear or higher, you can let the engine pull down and let it go to 5th gear, and then you just do the same thing that you do with it when you're trying to drop it a gear. You just push the upshift button and it will bring the parentheses up. But it has, this little highlighted dot has to be in the 5th gear position before you can push up, or it won't bring the parentheses with it. So you can't set the bottom side with it setting still. Now, the field mode I hardly ever use. I'll just be honest. I hadn't used it much. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will use it, and I may start using it more as I get used to it. But it's just one of those things that you don't have to have. Now, the thing that I really like about the auto shift that I use all the time is this little function here. Let's turn it off. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to double click this button. Double click. Now, wait a minute. I'm sorry. We have to back up. Let's go to high range first, because this is a road mode. Now we can go over here double click this button. And when we look over here on our screen, we've got a picture of a little trailer. Now, why that depicts road mode, I don't know, but that is road mode when the little trailer is blinking. Alright, now you see this parentheses is all the way from from 9th gear to 16th gear. That means it will automatically shift all the way from 9th to 16th without doing anything. And yes, it will do the range change right here on its own without pushing the range consent button. So, let's demonstrate. Alright, so I am in auto shift road mode. I'm getting ready to pull out onto the road. I'm just going to hold it wide open. Alright, it's going to do a range change. There it went to 13. Let's reach over here and push this wide open. Now I've got a load of lime on and we are going uphill, so and I'm going into the blasting sun. Blasting sun! Here I come. Alright, enough of that. So we're 16 miles an hour, 14th gear. Slowly accelerating. Lanes. I'm going to change lanes and get over here. I got to turn to the left. I'm going to pull into my property and I'm going to put a little lime on my pasture field. I'm still in 14th gear. We're running about 17 miles an hour. About the time it's going to start flattening out, I got to slow down and turn off. Alright, I'm going to back out of the throttle, get on the brakes. And there it's downshifting on its own. I'm not doing anything. 10th, 9th. Alright. We'll go across the intersection. I'm going to start going back up in the gears. This is a pretty steep hill right here. Alright, starting to flatten out, but I'm turning in right here. So I hope you get kind of the idea of what this thing will do. It works pretty good for roading. It's what I use it mostly for. I use it a lot in my 60/30. It's not really my 60/30, but it's my dad's. I use it a lot pushing snow. That way I don't have to worry about changing gears, don't have to worry about trying to be in the right gear. It automatically goes to 9th gear when you stop at an intersection. Even if you were in high gear and you just come to a stop, it'll automatically go back to the low gear. So that's a nice feature. So you don't have to worry about stalling the engine out if you forget to put it back into low gear. And you know, it's a really nice feature. I like it a lot, mainly because of the road mode of it. Alright, so it's dark and I'm not fighting the sun nearly as bad, so we'll go ahead and take another road test here. Out on the road. Range change automatically. And we are going to go up a hill, but I'm not loaded this time, so we'll go up here. Look at all that light. I probably shouldn't have all these lights on the main road, but there'll be people driving off down through the ditches and stuff when I meet them. Oh, we got a customer now. I have had a few complaints about lighting up people's bedrooms as I drive by their houses and stuff, if I leave the big light and leave the LED lights on. So you want to turn off on this road right here. This road has a steep hill as soon as you turn off on it. So we'll watch and see what this transmission does. It's already downshifted one gear. There's 14. 13. I think it'll pull this hill on 13. Almost to the top of the hill. Starting to flatten out. Going back up. Anyway, I think y'all got the idea. It's pretty much just set and drive in this mode, just like your automatic transmission in your car or your pickup truck. And it's just really convenient to cut down on operator fatigue and something you have to think about while you're driving down the road. So, yeah. The gist of it anyways. If you have any more questions about it, just ask me in the comments and I'll try to explain more about it, but I think you mostly maybe have the idea how it works. So basically you have the overview, you have field mode, and it'll shift between 4 gears, and you can control how low it shifts or how high it shifts. You can use field mode in A range, B range, and C range. You can't use it in D range. And then you have road mode that you can use in C range and D range, which is 9th through 16th, and it'll shift all the way through those gears, and it does shift a range through a range change without any input from the operator. That one shift right there, it does pause a little bit longer than the other shifts, so it can mess you up. Like if you're going uphill with a load and you are on that point where it wants to go to the next range and it finally gets enough RPMs to shift to the next range, it takes it about 2 seconds to shift. So in that 2 seconds, well, it may take a second and a half or something, maybe not quite 2 seconds. But in that short amount of time that it's shifting, it can lose a lot of speed. So what it will do is as soon as it hits 13th gear, it's lost so much momentum that it can't hold 13th gear because because of the load or the hill or whatever it is that's causing a load on the engine, and it'll just automatically go back down to 12th gear. And if 12th gear won't handle the load, it'll go to 11th gear. So sometimes it'll get in that situation when it's trying to change ranges. If you're going up a hill with a load, it'll do that on you. But it's just something you learn to deal with. It ain't a big deal. And you can still, when it's in auto mode, you can still shift it manually and override it without it coming out of auto mode. But if you downshift and it wants to be upshift, as soon as you downshift, it won't be long, it'll be back upshifted. Also, don't forget about the little trick where you can hold the button in and you can set the percentage you want the engine RPMs to decrease when you have PTO load on, and that's really helpful for baling hay. Or I used it one time bush hogging and it worked pretty good. I just kept the percentage really low so the RPMs didn't have to pull down much and it would downshift the gear. Seemed to work good when I was bush hogging in some thick grass. So I hope you learned something about this AutoShift transmission, and if you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, then ask me some questions. I'll be glad to answer any type of questions about this tractor to the best of my knowledge, and try to help somebody out, especially if you're trying to buy one. It's kind of complicated
process to get all the options you want on them, and I might can answer questions about that too. I already have helped some people with that. So have a nice evening. See you next time. Hopefully, blah, 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 blah.